Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining me. I hope you're doing well. I'm here today to do a bookshelf tour. So-called bookshelf tour. You won't be seeing a bookshelf because of my avant-garde bookshelf situation. But I don't normally like doing these because they kind of show me for the weird hoarder that I am. But people seem to enjoy them, and I'm willing to suffer for my public. And it's actually especially appropriate today because I noticed as I was getting ready to record this that my subscriber count has actually rolled over into the triple digits. And I have to say that when I started doing this, I wouldn't have guessed that even that number of people would be interested in what some middle-aged guy with middle-aged complexes has to say about stuff he's interested in. So, yeah, thank you for putting up with me. It's actually kind of gratifying. And I don't know, I haven't really planned for this. I don't know what the appropriate human response is. Maybe I can do some kind of giveaway or something if that's the deal. I don't know. Let me know in the comments what's traditional. But anyway, without further ado, I'll thank you all and get on with the bookshelf tour. First of all, I just want to say, as I was choosing what to show on here, I'm not going to show any classics or anything that you typically see on a Western canon type of list. I'll just say I pretty much have most of that stuff, so you can just assume that, yeah, I have copies of most of that stuff in some form, so I'm not going to waste a lot of time showing that on here. If there's anything in particular you're curious about, you can ask me. I can discuss it with you, but I'll just skip on to other things here. I'll be starting off with some speculative fiction, stuff I have in hard copy. I do a lot of e-reading nowadays too, but yeah, I'll try to zip through this. There's quite a few books here, so I'll try to keep up a decent pace. A lot of people have this. This is the Science Fiction Hall of Fame collection. It's a collection of well-regarded novellas edited by Ben Bova or Bava or however that's pronounced. You can see some of the authors represented there. Big names. This is Volume 2, Part A. And here is Volume 2, Part B. All right, we're off and rolling. I have here a collection of Isaac Asimov's short stories, complete, Volume 1. There's Volume 2 of that collection. Collected stories of Arthur C. Clarke. Huge names in science fiction here. I don't think it requires a whole lot of explanation. Here's one I think I received as a gift. I don't know a thing about it. I mean, I've heard the name. It says here, winner of the Hugo Award for Best Novel. I don't know if that's referring to this particular work, but C.J. Cherry, Cytine, complete in one volume. So, whatever that is, there you go. Probably ought to read it one of these days. And here's one of my favorites. Stephen Baxter is an omnibus containing 4 of his Zeely novels: Raft, Time Like Infinity, Flux, and Ring. And what I like about Stephen Baxter, he plays with science fiction and cosmic time scales. He, like in Zeely, he literally deals with the entire lifespan of the universe, but he does other great novels like Evolution that deal with billions of years, and it's kind of that Olaf Stapledon tradition of science fiction. I really like playing with those massive time scales. Of course, that can sometimes make characterization and setting a little bit difficult, but I like that kind of immense canvas, I guess. Alright. Be continuing with some science fiction here. I've read other stuff by this author on my e-reader, but I was sent these by my good friend Dave from the Book Blather channel. Hal Clement, Cycle of Fire. And Starlight. And here's one of my favorite science fiction authors, Stanislaw Lem's, probably most famous for Solaris because of the film adaptations. But it's been a long time since I read these. It's a collection of stories, the Star Diaries. A lot of them actually have kind of a comedic tone, but quite a few that get pretty heavy and philosophical as well. I have Solaris on my e-reader, but here's another great novel of his Master's Voice. A lot of people don't care for it because it's one of those that kind of puts the science ahead of the fiction. It's probably deals most realistically of any novel I've ever encountered of what might happen if humanity actually encountered a message from a truly alien intelligence. In this book, there's a message encountered, and looks like there's good progress with deciphering at first, but it's like these scientists and mathematicians and so forth who are cryptologists, whole group of investigators hit a wall eventually, and there's some Cold War type stuff going on in there as well, but in the end they're not sure whether this was actually a message from an alien intelligence or if it might have just been a poorly understood natural phenomenon and we were just projecting our own human stuff onto it this whole time. So yeah, might not make for the most satisfying conclusion for a lot of people, but I loved it. And if you've ever seen the logo for his Master's Voice with the dog looking at the phonograph, kind of confused with the tilted head, that's really this novel in a nutshell. So it's a great title too. Okay, I've read some of this guy in another collection, but this is complete. Borges. Doubt he needs any introduction. And this is just his selected nonfiction. Okay, here's one. I don't really know what's going on with this. It was just highly recommended to me until I finally bought it. So Michael Moorcock's Elric, Song of the Black Sword. I don't know. Looks like there's some guy maybe suffering from albinism with a copper sword held before him. Don't know what's going on with that exactly. Looks kind of interesting though. And here's another one. Elric, the Stealer of Souls. I don't know what Lady Liberty and Sinead O'Connor are up to there, but again, looks kind of interesting. Okay, this is another one. Recommendation. I've heard it ballyhooed quite a lot, but I really don't know anything about it. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of it. Great Book of Amber. It's the Complete Chronicles 1 through 10. Roger Zelazny. I was kind of convinced to buy it, and I just haven't gotten to it yet. Hopefully I will one of these days. Okay, this will be closing out my fiction section of this bookshelf tour. Although some of this isn't fiction exactly, but I'm kind of lumping it in there. I've read some of this guy on my e-reader, but either just some hard copies I have. G.K. Chesterton. Here we have Heretics, Orthodoxy, and the Blather controversies. St. Francis of Assisi, the Everlasting Man, and St. Thomas Aquinas. The Catholic Church and Conversions, The Thing, Why I Am a Catholic, The Well and the Shallows, The Way of the Cross, and others. You know the quality is always included with the and many more. Here we're getting into the fiction. Club of Queer Trades, Napoleon of Notting Hill, The Man Who Was Thursday. And last I have The Ball and the Cross, Man Alive, and The Flying Inn. Okay, this is dragging on. I'll try to speed up a little bit. These are dealing with religion, just kind of religion in general. See, it kind of jumps all over the place, so. Treasures of Darkness, History of Mesopotamian Religion. I like our guy with hypothyroidism. Looks like he might be a stoner too. The Roots of Hinduism, the Early Aryans, and the Indus Civilization. How old is the Hebrew Bible? The linguistic, textual, and historical study. Ancient Greek Religion, source book. I think I have the textbook somewhere too. I should have thrown it on here. Guess I didn't. But anyway, there's the source book. Religions of Rome, Volume 1's a history. And more Religions of Rome. We have a source book here for Volume 2. The Temple and Early Christianity. Experiencing the Sacred. Of course, as you know, early Christianity was just an offshoot of Judaism, so of course there were a lot of questions of how to handle the relationship to the temple. So there you go. European paganism, the realities of cult from antiquity to the Middle Ages. Like our bishop overseeing wanton destruction there. Avignon and its papacy. I read this on because it kind of relates to the book I'm currently reading about, the Black Death. Here I have the Great Western Schism, 1378 to 1417. Performing legitimacy, performing unity. Flashing our blessing fingers there. Yeah, I think I threw this on because the words schism and anti-pope still have the power to send me into uncontrollable laughter. Well, I'll correct that. Certain people randomly saying the word schism or anti-pope have the power to send me into uncontrollable laughter. So, yeah. That's a great reason to buy a book, right? Okay, this last lot will just be straight history. Most of it's ancient and medieval, but it'll be a little bit of American history and a little bit of World War I at the very end. So here we go. Caesar's legacy, Civil War and the emergence of the Roman Empire. It's a fantastic time to read about always. Looks like we've got a dead Julius and we're sick Semper whatevering over there. There's going to be a series of Cambridge medieval textbooks here. Barbarian migrations in the Roman West. Southeastern Europe in the Middle Ages. Carolingian world. Central Europe in the High Middle Ages. And I thought it might be an interesting time to read this one since I'm reading Don Quixote, but I don't know if I can really squeeze it in, but medieval chivalry. Medieval Russia. Russia and the Golden Horde. The Mongol impact on medieval Russian history. Muslims of medieval Latin Christendom. And another one I thought might be interesting because I'm reading Don Quixote. Again, don't know if I'll have time to get to it, but A History of Medieval Spain. Alright, jumping ahead in time a little bit. I have here Fawn Brodie's Intimate History of Thomas Jefferson. I think I've mentioned I'm fascinated by Thomas Jefferson. Introduced by Annette Gordon Reed. Can't go wrong with that. And I got here again Fawn Brodie with Thaddeus Stevens, Scourge of the South. There's old Thaddeus himself, looking characteristically dour. And last, here is one I have been meaning to get to forever. I've had several false starts on it. I don't know, it's like the cosmos is just working against me on this one. The Sleepwalkers by Christopher Clark. How Europe Went to War in 1914. So, yeah, that's the end of this tour. Hope y'all got something out of that. This is kind of long, I know, but like I said, people seem to enjoy these. But again, I just thank everyone who has humored me watching these silly videos of mine. I know I don't exactly put in a lot of effort, and it's not a professional product, but again, it is kind of gratifying that someone's actually listening. So yeah, I thank you very much, and I hope to be speaking with you again soon. So until then, take care. Later days.
But am I not turtly enough for the Turtle Club?